Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. Oh, look at that. I'm live streaming on a Tuesday again. How fun. I'm trying to get the lighting, though. I can't get the lighting right in this office ever, but it's okay. We will persist. We will continue. So today, I feel moved to discuss this topic. I don't know where it's going. This is totally improvised. So we'll see what kind of words actually come out. It's kind of like the Instagram live I did yesterday, where I was like, I was just feeling compelled to say something about this. And I ended up talking about it for half an hour. So today I'm feeling the same way about this topic. And the topic is extreme tendencies and extreme beliefs and just the extremes that have to do with dieting, right? Because y'all know by now, and if you don't know by now, I am currently in a fat loss phase, working on macros and all of that. Hello, hello. And for the first time in my life, after the 12 plus years of dieting that I have been going through, I feel like this time is different, right? And I feel very balanced, and I feel like I'm eating real food. And I feel like even though some sacrifices have to be made and I can't have everything that I want every day, I can still eat what I want, right? The general consensus is I am successfully losing weight, eating more food than I ever have, and doing it while without feeling much restriction. And I say much because especially when you're in when you're in weight loss mode, right? It's common knowledge that you have to give up something to some degree. Hi, Kim. Good to see you. And because of that, we and the diet industry have taken that and blown that completely out of proportion to having all of these rules and all of these extremes is really the best word that I can think of to describe it. That we live by because that feels easier being told these are the best foods to lose weight. These are absolutely the worst foods that you could possibly buy. Do not, under any circumstances, buy them. And people actually listen to stuff like that instead of realizing and living in this gray area. Thank you for the heads up, Lissa. Um, in this gray area of actually you can take some things from the best foods. You don't have to consider foods to be the worst foods, and there's all of this space in between where you can actually live happily and do some level of sacrifice, some level of having rules, and but not completely go off the deep end, right? And it's both sides of every coin, the two sides of every coin, right? On the one hand, there are people that are extreme dieters and go to great lengths to be overly restrictive and completely meticulous and believe in perfection and will often completely banish foods from their life, banish foods that they've loved because for whatever reason they believe that that is the right rule that they need to have set in place for dieting, right? That's the only way that they're going to be successful is with all of these dramatic extremes, right? And then on the other side, there are people that are adamantly anti diet that also tend to live in extremes of I can eat whatever I want as often as I want, how much as I want. And ultimately, those decisions end up being more detrimental to their health than beneficial to their health. And so there's all of this gray area. And I just so commonly see over and over and over again on my feed and in articles all over the internet, these are the best foods to eat, these are the worst foods to eat, these are, you have to do this, you need to do this, you have to eliminate this. And it's all of these super, super extreme ways of thinking, right? And ultimately, I just want to point out that there is a gray area and it is okay to be in the middle. It is okay to have rules in place. Rules are generally in place for people's safety, right? And so I was talking with somebody today about rules and extreme rules and moderate rules and all these things, right? And I was thinking about my own food rules because this person's definition of having food rules means that you have some sort of eating disorder of some kind or disordered eating, right? And I was like, well, does that mean that I have a disordered eating, a disordered view of eating? Because I have rules that I live by every single day for my foods. And I have these rules in place because I know that they will help me rather than hurt me. Because I know the type of person that I am. And I am a person that is like, well, if you tell me that there are no rules and I can eat whatever the heck I want whenever I want in no measured quantities, that is going to do more harm to me personally than do good. So for me, having certain sets of rules in place helps me, saves me from myself. And a couple of those rules are I always start my day with protein. That is an essential rule for me. Why? Because starting your day with protein helps keep your blood sugar balanced early on. It helps you stay full. It helps you feel satisfied. And it is just for me. And I tell all the clients to do this too. This is super important. Start your day with protein. I'm not saying don't have fat. And I'm not saying don't have carbs, but I'm saying you need to have protein in there as part of your complete and balanced breakfast, as all of the 90s cereal commercials would say, right? Although it's beautifully ironic that the part of your balanced breakfast was always a meal with no, like a product with no carbs or with no protein in it. So I guess the definition by then of part of your balanced breakfast means alongside a couple of eggs and some bacon, right? Is that what they mean by part of your balanced breakfast? Um, so like that is one of my food rules. What's another one of my food rules? Another one of my food rules is eat dessert every day. Right? That's a pretty awesome food rule, isn't it? Because I know for me that if I start to say dessert is the worst, you can't have dessert, dessert is bad for weight loss, that's not going to do anything good for me mentally. Nothing. Zero. That's going to do zero good things for me. All it's going to do is make me feel restricted and sad. And that is why one of my rules is eat dessert every single day. This is not an extreme thing. And this does not mean eat 600 calories worth of cake every single day. That's not what this means. Can I have a special dessert every once in a while? Absolutely, I can. But what the rule does is it safeguards me from saying these are the worst foods you could possibly eat. Right? You can't have cake. Cake is on the no no list. Snickers bars are on the no no list. Things that are sweetened with extra sugar are on the no no list. Like that's what it is keeping me from, because anytime you put something on like a solid like this is the worst list, it's fear mongering, right? And we don't want to do that. We want to believe in everything in moderation. At least that's my nutritional philosophy. And I'm much more content with my food because that is my nutritional philosophy. So some days, my dessert might look like, yeah, the 600 calorie piece of cake. Is it a special occasion? And a special occasion could be it's Saturday and I decided to go to the grocery store and pick up something special for myself. That can absolutely be a special occasion, but it doesn't happen all the time. So I'm not eating that every day, but I have my little pre-measured truffle. I can tell you exactly how many calories. My pre-measured truffle, if okay, don't recognize my face, whatever. If I remember to open the right app, there we go. My dessert today is 155 calories. 155 calories of pure, delicious, homemade chocolate ganache truffle goodness, but it is tracked and it is small and it is something, right? Hi, Rosie. The anti diet crowd is almost worse than the diet crowd sometimes. Yes. And I'm not saying that the anti diet crowd is wrong. And I'm not saying that the people with food and diet rules are wrong. But I'm saying that the extreme sides of either story probably are wrong. Right? I am very much a believer and this is I'm laughing because in real time I'm realizing this is a very Enneagram 9 thing to say because I see both sides, and not only do I see the benefits of both sides, but I believe that there's all this area in between this unhealthy extreme and this unhealthy extreme, right? And it's very easy. People thrive. People get the views, people get the hits from taking sides with the extremes, right? People don't want to watch how I managed to comfortably and casually on 1,850 calories managed to lose half a pound this week. That's not what people want to see. People want to see, here's my 1,300 calorie diet. and how I lost 2.5 pounds this week. People want to see these are absolutely the worst foods that you could possibly eat, and under no circumstances should you be eating them because they are horrible for you. That's the stuff that people click on. So that's the stuff that people continue to put out, right? But that's not a healthy place for any of us to live, right? So for me, dessert every day. Some days means on the heavier side of dessert. Some days it means my 155 calories of measured out truffle. But it's also worth noting that like that's not even a diet dessert. You guys, can I tell you a secret? I had this stash of Eat Me Guilt Free brownies, the original formula, down in my basement, and I've been hoarding them. There's literally 5 or 6 boxes down there because I placed a big order when they announced that they were switching their formula over, and I was like, well, that's baloney. I placed a big order because I thought for sure that I would be eating one of those brownies every day or twice a day to help me reach my protein goal. I mean, one of those brownies is 22 grams of protein. I have eaten 3 since I started my cut. I'm on week 4 of my cut, and I have eaten 3 of these freaking brownies, which is great because that means they're going to last me forever. But I just thought it was mind boggling because I've actually made the switch to eating regular food, not diet food. Like, and I consider Eat Me Guilt Free brownies to be a diet food because they are a protein fortified brownie. They are not bust out the Betty Crocker, right? And so I'm not. They're not. I'm assuming that was supposed to be appealing. Um, there and yeah, I haven't been reaching for them, and my mind. I literally am just like, oh, I had 20 grams of protein or something left today. Should I have one of those brownies? Like they're so far from they're the last thing on my mind, which I just thought was really interesting because even that small little dessert that I'm having is like an honest. Betty Crocker is my right hand lady, right? I need to get in good again with Betty Crocker. She and I need to meet up. She and I need to have a cup of coffee and exchange recipes because I and Jordan, I got to tell you, it's things like honest to God, it's thanks to you that I'm even considering as much of the homemade, home baked, just use a freaking cake mix. It's not the end of the world because even though it might pop up on some worst foods list somewhere, it's not the worst food ever. Every once in a while, you can have a brownie and it's freaking fine, y'all. And Jordan doing all of her baking, and she turned me on to the Fit Waffle Kitchen, Fit Waffle, I don't know. Um, all this Fit account does is post recipes made of real baked good food, cake mix, cream cheese frosting. And like I thought for sure the first time I perused her account, I was like, oh, this is going to have some sort of artificial sweetener, some sort of dieted down something. And then I looked on the post and I looked at the recipe and it was like icing sugar, eggs, cake mix, oil, vanilla. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. You can be a fit account and actually eat food like that? And it's the fact that that was so shocking to me made me go, why are we living in these extremes? Jordan, who for those of you that didn't see on my Instagram stories, Jordan is the client who I posted who is only 2 weeks in and has beautiful visual results to her progress with me as her coach. She's killing it. She's slaying it. And I'm seeing what she's eating and I'm envious of the delicious things that she's eating every single day and having this success. People antagonize her all the time. She's very fit and she fits in her macros. Right. She is a fit influencer type person. She is fit and thin and it's absurd. It's crazy. It's insane that she has this account that can just justify putting out there legitimate baked goods. And like seeing her account makes me go, wow. Like in the best way possible. Jordan says she gets antagonized all the time. And it's just the opposite. For me, I'm like mad respect for figuring out the thing that the rest of us want to figure out. And that is how there is no worst food right? There's no worst food. And I always say there are choices that are aligned with our goals and less aligned with our goals. That's the phrasing that I choose to use, because there's no worst food. There are better foods, but there's no best food, because the best food for one of us might be something that would kill somebody else, right? Dairy is a great food for when you're on a diet. It has protein, it has fat, it has carbs. According to the one book I read, How to Heal Your Metabolism, is that the name of the book that I read? I don't even know. This person says that milk is basically the perfect food. I have a friend who, if he drank so much as a tablespoon of milk, his stomach would explode. So the best food for some might not be the best food for other. So taking those extremes is not okay. And instead, I think we need to get used to the gray area, the middle ground, all of this beautiful place to live in between the anti-diet movement and the strict, rigid, dramatic 1,200 calories. These are the things you absolutely should not eat for no reason people, right? Um, because even in my own experience, you guys know that I signed up for that Clean Eating Academy, right? And it's one of those things that like I jumped in there and I got the list of like the good foods and the bad foods. And no joke, there's a list of on the no foods list that I'm like, well, I'm not going to stop eating that. Well, I'm not going to stop eating that either. Heck no, I'm not going to stop eating that. Like, actually, let me see if I can find it. I can see part of the lists hanging out right here. So on this, here we go. Here we go. Woo! So in this list, these are the no foods. These are the unclean foods. Let me tell you the things that are on it that I still eat. I have been away from canola oil. Barb, when I restrict, I want it more. Exactly. And the second you say you cannot have this, you want it more, right? You want it more. There are lists that include applesauce. That's outrageous. Seriously? Now, there are better ways and then less ideal ways to prepare your applesauce, but like applesauce is a great food. And for some, that's how you get a serving of apples, right? That's about 20 too many no's for me, right? The thing is, I have no reason to binge when I'm like, this is real cake. I do still make high protein things, but I like it too. Yes. I follow a few registered dietitians on TikTok, all men who call it fun food and never bad food. I love that because I have a great time when I'm eating that fun food. I have a great time. All right. So, there are oils on here: vegetables, canola, soybean, corn, safflower, cottonseed, sunflower, rapeseed, grapeseed. I do try to avoid most of these oils. However, I'm also following somebody on TikTok, and she's a registered dietitian, and I can't remember her name, but she's the one that's going around basically talking sense back into people, myself included. Because she's like, you know, that canola oil thing that all of us are condemning, it's actually not that bad for you. It's not inflammatory. It's not this. It's not that. And basically there's all of these, like, there are not enough studies to actually declare definitively that this is a thing, right? And being somebody who grew up with a medical professional mother and who's very, is it Andy? It might be cute little blonde who's always very, very serious about telling people that this extreme is crazy. It might be Andy. Let me look. Now that you gave me a name, I can totally tell you. But she's like, stop telling people that canola oil and vegetable oil is inflammatory. That's not the kind of news I need TikTok now. Following. Who am I following? Andy, you said. Andy Does Healthy. Yep, that's her. And so even she, after I've been into this and being very intentional about eliminating canola oil from my diet, made me go, next time I make brownies, should I just use vegetable oil? Like, seriously, even in my own desire to try and like pare things down and be like, oh, this, right? She had I am we made the truffles and I have a box of brookie mix downstairs. So like I already have my next couple of desserts lined up, but you better believe that this girl is going to figure out how to do like a one dessert recipe a week thing. And I'm gonna put it in recipe builder. I'm gonna track it and I'm gonna be able to fit these delicious desserts from Fit Waffle Kitchen into my life because when Jordan makes them, it just looks so good that I'm like, I have to have it. I have to learn how to get these desserts into my life without restricting. I love her. People have been bashing her, saying she looks sick because she doesn't wear makeup. I know. I've been seeing it. I'm like, leave her alone. She's doing the Lord's work, trying to talk sense into us extremists, right? Saying her info is bogus. That's how brainwashed the diet culture is. They would rather hear, like I said earlier, they would rather hear about the 1,200 calorie diets. They would rather hear about this absolute do not eat list. Do not eat list. Now, let me continue. So canola oil, she made me think that like vegetable oil and canola oil, maybe again, not in any crazy massive quantity. And Andy does say this. If you're taking it in smaller quantities, like then it's fine. So if I make the choice most of the time to do coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil, and then I decide to bake a cake or brownie mix with vegetable oil in it, it ain't gonna kill me. Right. Or if I start to use Pam again, because we've been using spray coconut oil and spray avocado oil, and it just does not work as well as Pam does. It just doesn't. Tell me I'm wrong. So that's under oils. Legumes. This is a reminder, things on the do not eat list for the course that the course? I guess it's a course that I signed up for. Soybeans, soy protein isolate, soy sauce. I used soy sauce just yesterday. Tofu, tamari, beans, lentils, texture soy protein, texture vegetable protein. So of that whole list, I know that that soy, all in all, is like a lot of people are like, minimize the soy, especially women with hormonal issues, because it is a phytoestrogen. So I do limit the amount of soy that I have. And if I have a soy based product, except for like sushi, sushi I will eat whenever. If the good Lord decided to give me sushi every single day as my manna, I would eat sushi every single day, complete with soy sauce. But like I have like these soy crisps and things. I will only eat that during the first half of my cycle when my estrogen levels are going up instead of when they are going down. But that doesn't mean I'm eliminating it completely from my life. However, beans, lentils, lentils is the magical food that I just discovered that has so much fiber and so much protein and is just the most beautifully macro balanced food I've ever seen. I'm not going to remove lentils from my life. They just came into my life, right? So that's a couple of things on the legumes that I'm saying it's okay to. And we're only here on this list, y'all. Dairy, milk, cheese, yogurt, creams, margarine, whey, casein, lactose, calcium caseinate. Y'all, I drink milk. I went back to drinking milk. I have not had milk in my house for so long. It was always unsweetened almond milk. Always unsweetened almond milk. I haven't used almond milk in months. Months. We have the Joy, like the little like pureed stuff where you throw it in water and you make your own. So we have that in the house. And if I decide to have a smoothie while it's still cold outside, I haven't had smoothie in ages. And I need fewer calories. And actually, this stuff is not fewer calories, though. So it depends on the balance that I need. But I've started buying Fairlife milk because there's protein in it. And protein is good. And I've been using regular milk in things. And it's just insane. Cheese. I eat cheese every single day. What is tofu? Tofu is, I believe, a soy-based something or other. It's found in a lot of Asian cuisine, and it is a protein source for you don't have to be vegetarian to eat it, but a lot of vegetarians use it as a protein source. So all of those things, I don't use margarine anymore. Why? Because I've started using real butter again. So I don't really use, and again, margarine is like the whole canola oil thing. So I just, you know what I'm saying? Grains and pseudo grains: white flour, wheat flour, bleached flour, enriched flour, rice flour, yeast extract, autolyzed yeast extract, brown rice, quinoa, buckwheat, barley, rye, oats, amaranth, gluten, and cornstarch. All things on this do not eat clean eating list. The do not eat list. Y'all, I eat most of those things. So my whole point here is there is some valuable information on here of things to avoid. And I am very much into all of the fake artificial sweeteners. I am all about that, except for sucralose. Sucralose I can handle. Sucralose is still found in some things that I eat, and it's better for me than like monk fruit and all of those other things because my body personally does not handle things well. So like for me, hi Lindsay. Um, it's one of those things like for me, maltodol is a no-no. Erythritol is a no-no. And monk fruit in higher quantities is definitely a no-no. But those things don't bother a lot of other people. So again, I can't say that this is on the worst foods for you list because for other people, it might be great. But for me, it is not. So it is on the worst foods for Brianna list, 110%, right? Um, let's see. I use avocado oil for literally everything. I use olive oil for dressings, but when I bake, I use vegetable oil because it bakes better. It's a good idea to check out what foods are good for your blood type. For my blood type, A negative, soy is good. Oh, interesting. Goes back to what you're saying about what's good for one might not be good for someone else. Exactly. And instead of thinking about this, people choose to live in the extremes instead. And it'd be like, these are absolutely, without fail, the worst foods you could possibly purchase. And challenge me. Tell me that these are the worst foods I can possibly purchase. And I want to turn around and I want to buy them and prove to you that I can still lose weight on them because that's a bunch of baloney, right? Because that's the kind of stubborn person that I am. Always Fairlife milk and full fat cheese. I love full fat cheese. Oh, I love cheese. Nope, I'm out, right? Maltodol should be banned. It tears up so many people's digestion. I didn't know that maltodol was a problem for me or a problem at all until I was sent a sugar-free product by Russell Stover. And it was like their version of like the Brookside, like the chocolate dipped fruit type little things. It was their sugar-free version, and Diet Brianna was like, yes, please give me all of them. And I tried them and it was so bad. It was so bad that I emailed them and I'm like, I cannot endorse your product. I cannot tell people about this product because it was so bad. Some people love peanut butter. For others, it will kill them. Yes, peanut butter is the worst food you could possibly eat if you're allergic to peanuts. Not if you're on a diet, if you're allergic to peanuts, right? Oh my gosh. And like all of this is limit. Okay. So it says limit white rice, corn, peas, peanuts, acacia gum. I love acacia fiber, by the way. But the sweeteners, the number one, the top three sugars on her no sugar list, that is literally the largest column. Sugars and sweeteners. Her number ones are cane sugar, brown sugar, confectioner's sugar, which is powdered sugar, and turbinado sugar, raw sugar. Y'all, I went through the phase. I'm like, let me see what foods I can find that don't contain these things. Am I mad that I went through the phase of let me find things? No, because I have Hue chocolate in my life now, and I enjoy Hue chocolate. But you know what I enjoy just as much, if not more? Lindt truffles. Lindt chocolate has cane sugar in it. And you know what? You can't take my Lindt chocolate away from me. And so while some are going to go, oh, cane sugar is the devil's food, and it might be a not great choice if you're somebody who's very sensitive to sugar. Maybe you're a very sensitive diabetic and having foods with added sugar is not ideal for you. But for those of us that are looking for weight loss, sugar is a carb. Sugar is a carb, y'all. And as long as you eat things in a balanced manner, everything in moderation, here are your extremes. We live here. We live right here. It's fine. It's fine to have that. My truffle, for example, is literally straight sugar and fat. That is what the truffles are. And they are so good, but they are straight fat and straight sugar. And they would be so very condemned for so many things on this list. So all of this to say, Am I mad that I took this course, that I spent the money to learn and better understand one of the extreme sides of the eating world? No, I'm not. I learned a bit. I learned about potential body responses, but I also was made uncomfortable by being told that I cannot have these things. You know what? Like, don't tell lentils. Really? Are you going to condemn lentils? Are you going to condemn milk and cheese? And yogurt? Like, don't, no, no. My food I can't live without are bonbons. Excellent. And you can, whatever the food you can't live without is, you can have that food. Maybe not every day, and maybe not in extreme versions, but you can have that food. It's not off limits. Here's a great example, and it's going to be a repeat for those of you that watch my vlog tomorrow, because I'm vlogging today. But today is the first time that I felt like I had to make a sacrificial. I say it in an overly dramatic diva type way because, hello, diva in the divine. I had to make a sacrifice at lunch today because I'm a good girl and I pre-track my food to the best of my ability so I can see what I have left to work with, right? So I ate this breakfast and it was great and it was like 50 grams of protein and I'm like, killing it. I'm nailing it today. And I already know what I'm having for dinner. Emily Bites creamy wild chicken rice soup. It is the best soup on the face of this planet, but I make it with real butter and real fat half and half, full fat half and half. And I literally went through and I did a breakdown. Where is that? Oh, look, my breakdown is literally right here. I did the math for how many more calories would per serving does adding full fat butter instead of light butter and full fat half and half instead of fat free half and half add. And it adds a total of 64 calories to the per cup of soup. 64 calories. So what do? I have tracked because I'm having a cup and a half of the soup. And so I tracked calorically the equivalent of that much extra half and half and that much extra butter to try and get it to fit in my macros as best as I can. So I pre-tracked that and I've been pre-weighing out 1 or 2 truffles every day and tracking that as well because I found a good entry for chocolate ganache and that's basically what the truffles are, cream and chocolate. So I'm just using the generic chocolate ganache. Is there a wrong meat? No, actually there's not. No. And then with the meat, there's also varying levels on the meat. And the meat quality is one thing that I'm hearing really consistently among many different types of nutritionists and books that I read and things like that is the importance of your meat quality. So the antibiotic ridden flat of chicken that is 99 cents a pound that is way too big because the chickens were overfed and all that jazz that I have done absolutely zero research on myself. I just read this like Embody Love. She talks about meat quality. The metabolism book I read talks about meat quality. All of the books I've read have been very consistent about meat quality, grass-fed, things like that. So for people who have a little bit more disposable income and are able to make organic meat choices, grass-fed meat choices, things like that, go ahead and level up. I do try and do that when I can. I bought Tyson meat today because it says no antibiotics ever on it. Is it legit? I have no freaking idea, but my Target didn't have like organic chicken or anything like that. Or no, it did, but the price was so astronomically high that I was like, no, I don't need it that badly. But for other people who just want to feed their family chicken, and the best way for it to happen is to buy that giant flat of 99-cent chicken breast, don't think that that's not okay. I'd rather you feed them that chicken than no chicken at all, right? The gray area. You do what you need to do for you. Maybe you're somebody who decides to buy the primo beef, but you buy the budget chicken or something like that. I buy my pork at Sam's Club. And like so with meat there's no but if the 99 pound is the only one you can afford, then go for it. Exactly. 110%. And I am not trying to shame anybody that does that. I'm learning that we are turning into more buy it fresh, use it fresh instead of buy it and freeze it type people. Slowly but surely, I'm still trying to figure out what my grocery philosophy is, you guys. And it's a lot harder in winter because I don't like going out in winter. But so like this past week, I had a meal plan and and I bought chicken for what I needed, but I bought some extra chicken because I'm like, well, I'm sure I can use it because a girl needs to get 140 grams of protein every day, right? And I bought frozen fish for this Asian flavored meal that my husband's like, we could do some like fish with some Asian seasonings on it. Well, I opened the chicken to put some of it in the soup, and then I realized I'm like, you know what? Rather than freeze the rest of this chicken, why don't I just use it? So instead of having the fish, which is already frozen and can hang out in my freezer and live there as long as it needs to live there, I'm going to use the chicken that I purchased at higher price point fresh. And so we're having Asian chicken later this week instead of Asian fish. And it's fine. But so you do what you need to do for you and your family and your budget to get as many nutrients into your kids and yourselves as possible. Because everybody's budget is different. Everybody's nutritional philosophy is different. I'd rather you eat meat than not, right? I do try to get wild caught salmon, but I don't worry about chicken. Yeah, I've started to try it and get wild caught salmon as well. And Target has frozen wild caught mahi as well. And I think they have cod. I thought I picked up cod, as you guys saw in my grocery haul. I thought I picked up cod and I ended up picking up mahi the other day. So it's a varying degree to everything. But so it's that again, it's that gray area. Do you have to buy clean and pristine and organic all of the time? No, no, I don't even buy organic vegetables and fruit all of the time. If it's on a decent price point, will I get it? Sure, why not? But I'd rather have my 2-pound flat of strawberries than not have berries at all, right? I hunt for my meat. Oh man. My sister-in-law and her ex-boyfriend used to hunt and they would hunt deer. And I loved when they brought deer home because we would have venison steaks and ground venison chili and oh my gosh, it was just so good. It was just so good. Um, I have mad appreciation for people that hunt. I can't, I just I'm somebody who like I don't want to see where my food came from and call that selfish, but that's just I can't. I can buy it from the grocery store, but if you show me a cow, I'm gonna name it and I'm gonna try and cuddle with it, and I'm not gonna want you to kill it. Like that's just how I am. I love animals. Um, so, but like, so there's no like in terms of like what's better, pork, beef, this, whatever. It's not so much about which meat. Now, depending on what you need, if you need more lean protein, venison jerky. Oh, yes, yes. If you need more lean protein, things like chicken and turkey and leaner cuts of pork and venison and things like that are better. If you're okay with some meat with fat in it as well, beef is a great choice. But it's more about quality, right? That was a good question. So now I've kind of lost my train of thought. But did that make any sense? Did that rant that I just went on for over a half an hour speak to anybody? Because it has just been something that has been on my mind all day. And you guys often get random rants when something has been on my mind all day. Like yesterday's Instagram live about me reliving all of my weight loss trauma and my diet trauma by transferring all of my weights, my weigh-ins from the last 12 years into one app. I literally relived my entire diet history and felt so bad for the girl that I used to be. And so I shared that on Instagram. If you want to go see that, it's saved under my IGTV stories. IGTV stories, IGTV posts. And today you get me talking about extremist tendencies because of a conversation I had in my DMs today. So there we have it. Does anybody have any questions or things that they would like to discuss before I get back to my regularly scheduled programming? Because this definitely was not on today's schedule. But I like to when the spirit moves me, I like to get it out there, because it's just sometimes it's better than pre-planning a video and trying to talk about it. Is just talking about it as it's fresh in my mind and getting other people's input about it. And yeah, but basically, don't listen to the extremes. And with anything, this is a great general piece of advice. It doesn't have to be just for the dieting thing and the weight loss thing or the anti-dieting thing. But in general, when you are hearing somebody's new philosophy or something like that, or new weight loss plan, or whatever the case may be, um, it's very important to take what serves you and feel no shame in leaving behind the parts that don't. Like this. When I was in this course, I took and I applied some of the lessons that I learned because they make sense for me. And some of the things, hard pass. Hard pass because that doesn't work for me. And I don't need to stick myself in this one specific box when I have no need to I have no oh, thank you so much. I have no need to I have no health reason to banish rice or banish dairy. I have no issues with dairy. So why would I banish it from my life? Because one person told me to? Doesn't seem right, right? So um, living in the middle. And one more thought on this is the whole food rules thing. And you know how I said I have food rules, start the day with protein and every meal should be protein focused, eat dessert every day. These are all rules that I live by. And it is important to differentiate where rules, hi Marie, it's important to differentiate where rules help you and where rules hurt you. Because there are plenty of people who I do what is best for me. Exactly, Vicky. Exactly. There are plenty of people who will set a rule in place and use it to the extremist of the extreme tendency, and it will end up being more harmful than helpful, right? And I guarantee you, we've all done it. We've all banished a particular food from our life. We've all gone sugar-free, low fat because everyone told us that's what we need to do. And all of a sudden, fat became a demon and sugar became awful and the worst thing to eat. And, you know, and we lived by that. And because we didn't know any better, because we wanted to follow something instead of listen to ourselves, right? Those are rules that can be harmful instead of helpful. Tracking your food is great for people. It's great for people. I know Kim will agree with me with this one. Like, I need to track my food. It is a guideline for me and a guardrail for me because if I personally don't track my food, then bad things happen. I have to save myself from myself by tracking my food. End of discussion. For other people, tracking food can end up being an obsessive, meticulous thing that borders on disordered eating. So again, you have to think long and hard about what rules serve you and what rules don't serve you. There is no hard and fast rule that applies to anybody, right? There is what's another example? Here's a primo example that I'm learning in real time for like find the flexibility, find the gray area is in my morning routine. You guys know that for the longest time, I've been trying to find the perfect morning routine for me. Get up, prayer, and is air frying over oven cooking better? Mm-mm. It's different, but it's not better. Air frying is healthier and less fat than deep frying. That's the difference. Air frying, it depends on what the goal is. Better than what? What is the outcome you're looking for? Is it better in terms of quality of the cook? Depends on what you're cooking and what your outcome is. I have found that frozen appetizers do great in the air fryer because they come out crispier than if you put them in the oven, right? But health-wise, there is no difference. Health-wise, there's no difference. Health-wise, there is a difference between air frying and deep frying because you're not submerging your food in hot oil. You are air frying it. But in terms of oven to air fryer, no, just a matter of quality of the cook. But my morning routine, I have this list of things that I want to do every single morning. I want to read for half an hour. I want to journal for 6 pages. I want to spend quality time with God. I want to enjoy my cup of coffee and I want to get my workout in. And somehow I want to manage to do that all in like an hour and a half. And time after time after time after time, I fail No matter how many times I've tried to put this together, for me, I'm finding it doesn't work. Do you know what flexibility, what gray area, instead of going no morning routine at all, because apparently I don't have my crap together, or extremely rigid routine that makes me very unhappy to get up in the morning, which is literally the opposite of what you need a morning routine to be, I'm choosing to find that gray area. And now, some days I choose to read. Some days I choose to journal. Some days I choose to do neither. And you know what? It's working very well for me to not have that rigidity, because that rigidity was not working. It was not having a positive impact on my morning. But I know that giving up an entire morning routine concept would also not be helpful to me. Finding that gray area makes me feel like I'm in control of my choices, gives me some direction, gives me a couple of productive things that I could do, but based on what I need that day, I get to choose. And there's that gray area, and I feel so much better about that. So that's another example of like using the rule, but always coffee. Absolutely, Marie. My coffee happens every morning, regardless of what the morning routine choice is. Yes, 100%. But the rules, there's gray area for all of them. What might be a helpful rule for one, I need to track my food, might be an unhelpful rule for somebody else. And that is okay. Let's normalize not living in extremes. Let's normalize not counting on extremely restrictive diets to help us get quick weight loss because we're impatient human beings. Let's normalize falling for the fear mongering of why you should eliminate this entire food group from your diet, or these are the top 20 worst foods you could possibly purchase in the grocery store. Don't ever do it. Like, let's normalize not paying attention to those things. And instead, let's focus on the gray area that's the biggest and most flexible area of them all. Carrot crisps or chips. I don't think if you want things to be crispy, the air fryer is probably better. And that's, again, that has nothing to do with health. It just has everything to do with how it's cooked. So if you want crispy things, put them in the air fryer for sure. Um, that's all. That's all I've got, my friends. So now that I've hung on to your attention for over 45 minutes now, I'm going to let you go and let you get back to your Tuesday. Before I go, since I have y'all, Patreon members, you have a Zoom call with me this Thursday in 2 days. And what else? I think that's it. Weekly weigh-in on Friday. I haven't added it to the calendar. There is a Google Calendar that I need to link that down below. I actually need to add that to my to-do list. Actually, look at that. You guys are helping me do my my weekly action items. For work, I need to update YouTube info box to have all the information. That will happen probably around 12:30 on Friday, the weekly weigh-in. And boy, oh boy, hang out on Instagram if you want to hear about my daily fluctuations, because they've been crazy, as you've probably seen. But thank you for hanging out. This was fun. I felt like I got a whole lot off my chest. So thank you for listening. And I will talk to you guys later.